In Los Angeles, the dream of being discovered is as old as the Hollywood sign itself. From the 1920s onward, young women poured into the city chasing stardom, believing that one chance encounter could lead from anonymity to the silver screen. But the same dream that built Hollywood has also been exploited, time and again, by those willing to twist ambition into opportunity for themselves. One of the most chilling examples came in the early 2000s, when a man posing as a casting director used the allure of a James Bond audition to lure young women into a trap. For one aspiring actress, Kristi Johnson, that trap proved fatal. Kristi Johnson was 21 years old in February 2003. She was originally from Michigan but had moved to Los Angeles to pursue her dreams, like so many before her. Friends described her as ambitious but down-to-earth, someone who loved the idea of acting, but also understood how difficult it could be to break into the industry. That's why, when she was approached at the Westfield Century City Mall by a man claiming to be a casting director for a Bond movie, it felt like the kind of break that only Los Angeles could provide. The man told her the role was a major one, an opportunity to play a Bond girl in an upcoming 007 film. The part, he promised, came with a $200,000 paycheck. To Kristi, who had been working hard just to get noticed, the pitch sounded extraordinary, but not impossible. After all, countless actresses had been discovered in unusual ways. Lana Turner in a soda shop, Charlize Theron at a bank. Hollywood lore was filled with stories like that, and the man's polished confidence helped sell the idea. Kristi confided to her roommate that she had the audition scheduled. She was told to wear a white blouse, black miniskirt, nylons, and high heels. To anyone familiar with the industry, those instructions should have been a red flag. Auditions rarely required such specific and revealing attire, but Kristi wanted to believe. On February 15, 2003, she drove off to meet the supposed casting agent. She never returned. Her friends and family grew worried when hours passed with no word. Soon, her car was found abandoned, with her belongings still inside. It didn't look like she had planned to disappear. The LAPD began to investigate, and immediately, detectives realized they weren't dealing with a typical missing persons case. As police retraced Kristi's steps, another young woman came forward. She, too, had been approached by the same man at the same Century City Mall. She was given nearly identical instructions: what to wear, where to go, and how much money she would supposedly make. But something about the pitch felt wrong to her, so she declined. Her report confirmed what investigators feared. Kristi hadn't stumbled into random danger. She had been targeted. Detectives dug deeper and discovered a chilling pattern. The man was Victor Paleologos, a 40-year-old career criminal with a long history of cons and assaults, and his method of operation was disturbingly consistent. He posed as a Hollywood insider, dangled promises of fame and money, and then used that trust to lure women into situations where he could control them. In fact, authorities would later discover that Kristi was far from his only victim. At least 13 women came forward, telling investigators they had been approached or attacked by him using nearly identical tactics. The search for Kristi ended on March 3, 2003, when police discovered her body in a ravine in the Hollywood Hills. She had been bound and strangled. The discovery confirmed everyone's worst fears and turned the case into a homicide investigation. The evidence against Paleologos mounted quickly. His parole officer recognized him from surveillance footage, and soon after, he was arrested. At trial, prosecutors presented a chilling narrative. This was not an impulsive crime. It was carefully planned, rehearsed, and repeated. With Kristi tragically caught in a trap Paleologos had set many times before. In 2006, Paleologos pleaded guilty to first-degree murder to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Kristi's family was devastated, but they took some measure of relief in knowing that the man responsible would not be free to target other women. Still, the possibility of parole in the future remained a bitter thought for them, a reminder that the justice system often feels incomplete to families who have lost so much. What makes this case so haunting isn't only the crime itself, but what it says about the city where it happened. Los Angeles has always been built on dreams, but dreams can be fragile, especially when someone exploits them. Casting calls and auditions are supposed to be gateways to opportunity, but in this case, the promise of fame was used as bait. Kristi Johnson's murder is a tragic reminder that predators have always lurked in the margins of Hollywood, waiting for the moment when hope overshadows caution. For Beverly Hills and Hollywood high society, the crime was especially unsettling. It was one thing to read about scams or cons. It was another to realize that someone could stand in a shopping mall, promise stardom, and so easily lure ambitious young women into dangerous situations. After the case broke, acting schools and talent agencies across Los Angeles began reminding their students of the risks, stressing the importance of verifying opportunities and never going alone to auditions that didn't come through established, credible channels. The broader impact of the case continues to resonate. Even today, warnings circulate in online forums and acting communities about fake casting directors who use social media, Craigslist, or even chance encounters to ensnare hopeful performers. Many of these schemes are directly inspired by Paleologos's methods, though most don't end in murder. The persistence of these scams shows how alluring the Hollywood dream remains, and how important it is to remember Kristi's story. For Kristi's family, the tragedy reshaped their lives forever. Her mother, Jane Johnson, became an outspoken advocate for protecting aspiring performers, reminding anyone who would listen that ambition should never be manipulated. She worked tirelessly to share her daughter's story in hopes of preventing other families from experiencing the same pain. As for Victor Paleologos, his legacy is that of a predator whose crimes went on far too long. His pattern of luring women was known to law enforcement before Kristi's murder, yet he was still free. The case prompted uncomfortable questions about how parole and probation were monitored and whether warning signs had been missed. Today, the story of Kristi Johnson serves as both a cautionary tale and a call for vigilance. It highlights the need for aspiring actors to protect themselves, for agencies and law enforcement to stay alert, and for Hollywood as a community to recognize its vulnerabilities. In the end, the casting director who promised stardom turned out to be nothing more than a manipulator using the city's dreams as a trap. Kristi Johnson never got the chance to see her ambitions realized, but her story has lived on as a reminder that behind the glamour of Los Angeles, there are always shadows, and that sometimes the biggest danger isn't rejection, but misplaced trust.